Hello, everybody. I am Michael Borla, the CEO of Capstone IT and the founder of Treasure Coast Top 100.com. We are here with Don Hearing from Cotleur Hearing. We're in for a great treat. We've already started to have some conversations and have quite a bit to cram in here in a very short amount of time. So thank you for being with us.
Oh, thank you very much.
So as we're talking here, one of the things that's always difficult is that starting out, and you have a very interesting starting out the business and the entrepreneurship. So talk about the starting out and the grind, as everyone talks about.
Well, great. Well, we started out in December of, actually in May of 1991, but it was the result of the economic crash in December of 1990. That was when the savings and loan crisis occurred. And so at the time, we were with partners in another architectural firm. And here at Cotleur Hearing, we're landscape architects and land planners that represent both the governmental sector and the private development sector. And so as a result of that economic crisis, the business practices of our partner architects was not necessarily the best from a business perspective. They weren't fiscally responsible, and so from December of 1990 through the end of April of 1991, we were unable to even get a paycheck, and I had gone through literally my last dollar, and so we came to the conclusion that we still had a great book of business in the landscape architecture and planning side, and so my partner Rob Cotleur and I, made the decision that, hey, for the good of the other people that work for us, that we needed to just start our business. In hindsight, as entrepreneurs, the one thing that Mike and I were talking about earlier is, not to be afraid of entrepreneurship. It's scary and it looks scary, but the reality is find a good mentor and know that you can do it. So we started in May of 1991. We had 4 other employees at the time that were in the landscape architecture planning department, and we just simply asked them, would you give us 30 days? We can't pay you for 30 days, but after that, you'll never miss a paycheck. But when we started the company, we started based on a principle that we would operate the company, fiscally strong, and that we would be debt free. And so, a lot of that, came from the bad experience we had. So, that it was a great principle, and one that we wouldn't look at doing differently at all. But it's hard work. I had to work on the business, and I had to be in the business. So, 40, 50 hours a week I'm working in the business, and then I had to learn how do you run a business. And so reading books, reading even things as simple as accounting books, QuickBooks. And at the time I was reading PC Magazine and computers. How do you that was all new at the time, but you had to learn it. And so we did that, and it does take a lot of sacrifice. So I was telling Sarah a short while ago is that there's no free lunch, and it really business should be looked at as really being a marathon, not a sprint. One of my favorite books is some of the Jim Collins books that are out there, and one of the books that he has, which is Great by Choice. They evaluate a number of the companies that are out there today, Apple and Microsoft and Intel, and the one trait that was consistent with all of those companies is that they had a long-term vision. It was a 20-year vision. It wasn't just tomorrow. You have to know what tomorrow is, but they weren't trying to get to tomorrow in 1 year. So it was the steady, incremental, sustainable growth that made them successful. And so that's the approach that we took. And So we started our business in 1991. At that time, we had 4 other employees. We now have 50 employees in our core business with landscape architecture and land planning. But then we have other companies too, where we have several employees that work with us. So it's been very, very exciting. So the experience of starting one company gave us the confidence that there are other things that you can do. So it's been very, very exciting. And I was telling Mike that within the last 31 years, we've never had an unprofitable month, and it's directly related to our commitment to being debt-free and being fiscally responsible. We got in business to do a great job, to change people's lives through our profession, through what we do in landscape architecture, always with the understanding that if we did a great job, the money would follow. And that's not to say that you don't have to manage a business, because you do. And as we have continued to grow, we learn the importance of needing to establish a leadership team, to bring good people on, to train those people, to mentor them, to pour into them, so that the business has greater sustainability, in the event.
Yeah, we were talking about that, the leadership team and the development, because that is, you talked about moving to other businesses. You can't do that without a great leadership team, and I think that's where a lot of people struggle. Entrepreneurs are, because you want to do it all yourself, and at a certain point you realize you can't, and you need to develop that leadership team. So what are some of the things that you have done that you found to be successful to develop that leadership team, so you can go work on the business, and so you can go start other businesses that support that one that you originally started? So what are some of those things?
Well, first, pouring into your staff, identifying key staff that have the right personality and have been wired to lead and to be able to carry on, and then to pour into them and to collaborate with them, and then ultimately to develop a succession plan. We talked about that's important. When you're, when somebody's coming in to evaluate a company or the value of your company, yes, you're important, but if they're going to buy your company, they're interested in the leadership team, because if you don't have a strong leadership team, then it's then there's no real business, and so
when they buy it, you're gone. So what does that leadership team look like? And you were talking about succession plan, and you said something there that I just absolutely love about everyone looking for that. So can you talk about that for just a little bit?
Yeah. So we're both a part of different Vistage groups, which we highly recommend, can benefit your business. And my Vistage team strongly encouraged me to develop a succession plan. And then over the course of around the same time, I had several clients saying, hey, Don, you've been doing this for 30 years. How much longer are you going to be doing this? And there were just real clear signals that they wanted to understand that there was a succession plan. But then our staff, our team, we work hard to recruit the best talent that we can recruit. And people that are coming into your organization, and we recruit from across the country, they want to know that there is a strong succession plan. They want to know that there is a career path plan, but they also want to know that there's a succession plan. So we brought on 4 partners 3 years ago, and in that time, our EBITDA has more than doubled over that time period, because we've actually brought on new partners who are out there generating business and helping our business go to the next level, and allowing me to focus more on the things that are important, to focus on the business, to focus on our core values, to focus on vision, to focus on mission, and to focus on strategy, all of which are very, very important to running a successful business.
I thought that was one thing that you said that I just absolutely love is, your employees are looking at that because they want that, but the clients are looking at that too. I thought that was great. So last question, real quick. It's the one thing that you would want to pass on to someone who's starting a business or they're in that grind, and what's that one thing you think they should there's many things, but what's one thing that you would like to think that is very important to them?
Well, as as probably any business that's starting, that there are people that are in your life, hopefully your family, but then others from the outside that are mentors that really play a very influential role. And starting back before I even went into landscape architecture, it was Roy Rood. Roy Rood was a personal mentor who mentored me long after we started our business. And then, one of the businesses that gave us some of our first opportunities, it was Bergen DeVasta, and Charles Hathaway, Chuck Hathaway, he just poured into me. I mean, he was not easy. He was hard. He's a military guy.
Should be.
And he was hard, and it taught me such responsibility. Then others came along, like Doug Brown, CEO, former CEO of Enterprise Rent-A-Car, and they poured into me. And so what I would say that please don't forget to value those people. Make sure that, write them a handwritten note. Make sure you thank them for how they touched your life, because it's important for you to also give back the other way. And then second, it's important to give forward, to be a part of the philanthropic opportunities, and to pour into other organizations and to give back to your community. I was mentioning to you that in that math, when we're giving back to these other organizations, whether it's a Place of Hope or Christ Fellowship, the math doesn't add up. 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2. It seems like we gain tenfold for just a little bit that we provide. So those are the two pieces of wisdom that I would give you.
Yeah, and I completely agree. The more you give, the more you don't look to get back what you do. So thank you so much for doing this with us. If you know somebody that you'd like to nominate for the Treasure Coast Top 100, please go to the website treasurecoasttop100.com and nominate them there. Thank you.